The cargo ship Starlight Dawn moved quietly through the darkness of space. It was a simple vessel, not very big, not very fast. It carried medicine and food supplies to the outer colonies. Captain Una Park sat in her chair on the bridge, drinking her third cup of coffee that day. Everything was peaceful. Everything was normal. Then the alarm started screaming. "Captain!" Wu Xin, the young pilot, shouted from his station. His hands were shaking over the controls. A ship just appeared out of nowhere. It was hiding. Now it's right next to us. Una put down her coffee and looked at the main screen. Her heart sank. The ship was 3 times bigger than hers. It was dark gray with sharp edges, like a knife floating in space. She knew that design. Everyone in this part of the galaxy knew it. "Valky Raiders," she said, quietly. Hana Lee, the communications officer, turned pale. "They're sending a message, Captain. Let me hear it." A harsh voice filled the bridge. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "Human vessel, you will stop your engines. You will open your doors. We are coming aboard. If you fight, you will die. If you run, you will die. Obey, and some of you might live." The message ended. Silence filled the bridge. Take him. The chief engineer came running in from the back. He was covered in grease, and his eyes were wide with fear. "Captain, I heard the alarm." "What's happening?" "Valky," Una said. "They want to board us." Tay's face went white. The Valky were known across the galaxy as brutal raiders. They were tall creatures, almost 2 meters high, with pale skin and large eyes like insects. They had 4 arms and moved very fast. Most importantly, they had no mercy. "We can't fight them," Wu said. "They have at least 50 soldiers on that ship. We have 4 people and no weapons." "5, Hana said softly. Everyone looked at her. "5 crew members," she said. "Don't forget Bomi." Despite the terror of the moment, Tay almost laughed. Bomi was the ship's cat, an orange tabby with bright green eyes and a fat belly. She spent most of her time sleeping in warm places and catching the occasional mouse that hid in the cargo. Months ago, as a joke, Hana had registered her in the ship's official records as security officer. They had all laughed about it then. Nobody was laughing now. "Everyone listen to me," Captain Una said. Her voice was calm and strong. "We cannot fight. We cannot run. So we will be smart. Tay, Hana, go to the engine room and hide. Lock the door from inside. Do not come out until I tell you." "But Captain," Hana started. "Go, now." Tay grabbed Hana's arm and pulled her toward the back of the ship. They disappeared into the corridor. Una looked at Wu. "You stay with me. We will greet our guests. Be polite. Be calm. Let me do the talking." Wu nodded. He was scared, but he trusted his captain. A few minutes later, the Valky ship connected to theirs. The airlock opened with a hiss. Una and Wu stood waiting as 12 Valky warriors marched onto their ship. They were terrifying to look at. Their pale skins seemed to glow in the ship's lights. Their 4 arms each held a different weapon. Their compound eyes looked everywhere. At one spot at the front was their leader. He was taller than the others, and he wore a red mark on his chest. "I am Commander Ren," he said. His voice was deep and cold. "This ship now belongs to the Valky Empire. You will show me everything. You will hide nothing. If you lie to me, I will know, and you will suffer." Una bowed her head slightly. "Welcome aboard the Starlight Dawn, Commander. I am Captain Una Park. I will cooperate fully." Commander Ren made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Smart human. Smarter than most." He turned to one of his soldiers. "Cal, scan their computer. Find out what they carry and how many crew they have." The soldier named Cal moved to the main computer. His long fingers danced over the controls. After a moment, he spoke. "Commander, the cargo is medical supplies and food. Nothing valuable. The crew manifest shows 5 members." 5? Rin looked at Yuna. "I see only 2. 2 of my crew are in the engine room," Yuna said. "They are engineers." They were scared. "And the 5th? Yuna kept her face completely blank. "The 5th is our security officer. Her name is Bomi. She is currently patrolling the lower decks." Rin leaned closer. His insect eyes studied her face. "Security officer? On a small cargo ship like this?" "All human ships have security officers," Yuna said. This was a lie, but Rin did not know that. "It is our law." Rin stood straight again. He seemed to accept this answer. "Kel, take Bora and go find this security officer. Bring her to me." A younger Velki soldier stepped forward. He looked nervous. "Commander, should we not focus on the cargo first?" "Are you questioning me, Bora?" Rin's voice became dangerous. "No, Commander. I will go." Kel and Bora walked toward the stairs that led to the lower levels. Yuna watched them go. She said nothing, but inside her mind, she was thinking very fast. Bomi was down there somewhere, probably sleeping on a pile of blankets in the cargo hold. The Velki were about to meet a small, fluffy orange cat. Yuna had no idea what would happen next, but something in her gut told her it would be interesting. On the stairs, Kel and Bora moved carefully. Their weapons were ready. The lights in the lower level were dim. "I don't like this," Bora whispered. "Why would humans need a security officer on a cargo ship?" "Quiet," Kel hissed. "Focus." They reached the cargo hold. It was full of boxes and crates stacked high. Shadows covered everything. Then they heard it. A low, rumbling sound. It came from somewhere in the darkness. It was continuous, almost like a machine. Bora froze. "What is that noise?" Kel did not answer. He was staring into the shadows. 2 bright green eyes stared back at him. Kel and Bora stood frozen in the cargo hold. The darkness pressed around them like a heavy blanket. The Velki had excellent hearing, but their eyes were not made for dim light. They could see shapes and shadows, but details were hard to find. The rumbling sound continued. It was low and steady, like the hum of an engine, but somehow alive. Bora had heard many sounds in his years as a soldier. He had heard the screams of dying enemies. He had heard the roar of battle, but he had never heard anything like this. "That sound," he whispered to Kel. "It reminds me of something." Kel did not move. His forearms were tight around his weapons. "What?" "The death hum. The sound our execution machines make before they kill." Kel wanted to tell Bora to stop being foolish. He wanted to say that there was nothing to fear. But the truth was, he felt the fear too. Something was watching them from the darkness. Something with glowing green eyes. "Show yourself," Kel called out. His voice echoed in the cargo hold. "We know you are there. Come out slowly and you will not be hurt." The eyes blinked. Then they moved. A shape walked out from behind a tall stack of crates. It moved slowly, with complete confidence. It did not hurry. It did not hide. It walked into the small circle of light near the door and sat down. Kel stared. Bora made a small choking sound. The creature was small. Very small. It barely reached their knees. It was covered in orange and white fur that looked soft. It had 4 legs, a long tail, and a round face with pointed ears. Its eyes were bright green with strange black lines in the center that went up and down instead of round, and it was looking at them with absolutely no fear. The rumbling sound was coming from inside the creature. Its whole body seemed to vibrate with it. "What? What is it?" Bora asked. His voice was shaking. Kel did not answer. He was thinking hard. In all his travels across the galaxy, He had never seen anything like this. He had met hundreds of species. He had fought creatures 3 times his size. But this small thing in front of him made his blood feel cold, because it was not afraid dot in the Velki culture. Fear was important. Every creature felt fear when facing a predator. Every creature ran or fought when death came near. That was the law of nature. Only the most dangerous hunters in the universe could look at death and feel nothing. This tiny creature was looking at 2 armed Velki soldiers like they were boring. The creature lifted one of its front paws. It had soft pads on the bottom. Then, as they watched, sharp claws came out of the paw. 5 curved blades, white and pointed. The creature looked at its claws, then began to lick them clean. The claws went back inside the paw and disappeared. It has hidden weapons, Bora gasped. Built into its body. The creature yawned. Its mouth opened wide, showing rows of small, sharp teeth. 2 longer teeth pointed down from the top. They looked like fangs. Both Velki soldiers took a step back. "We should report to Commander Rin," Cal said. He was trying to sound calm, but his voice was too high. "We need backup." "Agreed," Bora said immediately. Kel raised his communication device to his mouth. "Commander, this is Kel. We found the security officer." Rin's voice came through, sharp and impatient. "Good. Bring her to me." "Sir, the security officer is..." "She's not human." There was a pause. "What do you mean?" "It appears to be some kind of creature. A weapon beast, perhaps. We request immediate backup." On the bridge, Commander Rin looked at Captain Yuna. The human woman's face showed nothing. No fear, no surprise. She simply stood there, calm as water. "What kind of creature is your security officer?" Rin demanded. Yuna tilted her head slightly. "Her species is called a cat. Humans have kept them for thousands of years." "Kept them? As pets? As partners?" Yuna said. "They protect us. We feed them. It is an old agreement." Rin did not like the way she said that. There was something hidden in her words. He spoke into his communicator. "Kel, capture the creature. Bring it here." In the cargo hold, Kel heard the order. He looked at Bora. Bora looked back at him. Neither of them moved. The creature, the cat, was still sitting in the same spot. It had finished cleaning its claws. Now it was watching them again. Its tail moved slowly from side to side. "You go first," Bora whispered. "I am your superior officer. You go first. I am younger. I have more to live for." Kel would have argued more, but the cat did something that stopped his words. It stood up on its 4 legs and stretched. Its back curved up high. Its claws came out again, digging into the metal floor. Then it made a sound. It was a sharp, loud sound. A hiss, like steam escaping from a broken pipe. But there was anger in it. Warning. Both soldiers stumbled backward. Bora fell over a small crate and crashed to the ground. His weapon flew from his hand and slid across the floor. The cat looked at the fallen soldier. Then it looked at the weapon. Then it looked back at Bora, and it began to walk toward him. Bora screamed. He scrambled to his feet and ran. He did not think about honor. He did not think about his training. He just ran as fast as his legs could carry him. Kel was right behind him. They burst out of the cargo hold and up the stairs. They did not stop until they reached the bridge, where Commander Rin was waiting with a look of fury on his face. "What is the meaning of this?" Rin shouted. "You ran from a small creature?" Kel was breathing hard. His 4 hands were shaking. "Commander, with great respect, you did not see it. You did not hear it. That thing is not natural. It has weapons built into its body. It makes the sound of death. And its eyes see everything." Bora nodded frantically. "It was hunting us, Commander. It was going to kill us. I am certain of it." Commander Rin looked at his two soldiers. They were experienced warriors. They had fought in dozens of battles, and they were terrified of something that barely reached their knees. He looked at Captain Yuna. The human woman was looking at the floor. Her shoulders were shaking slightly. She was trying not to laugh. Rin felt his anger grow. These humans were playing games with him. Whatever this creature was, he would not let it make fools of his soldiers. "I will send more warriors," he said. 6 of them. They will capture this beast and bring it to me. And then we will see what is so frightening about your security officer. Yuna finally looked up. Her eyes were bright with tears she was holding back. "As you wish, Commander. But I should warn you, Bomi does not like strangers. And when she is upset, she can be difficult." Rin ignored her warning. He called 6 of his best soldiers and sent them into the lower levels of the ship. None of them knew that they were about to experience the most terrifying hour of their lives. In the engine room, Hana Lee sat in front of a small screen. She had connected to the ship's security cameras. Tae Kim stood behind her, watching over her shoulder. They could see everything happening on the ship. "This is incredible," Hana whispered. She covered her mouth with her hand. "They're actually afraid of Bomi." Tae shook his head slowly. "I always said the cat was evil. Now the whole galaxy knows it." On the screen, they watched 6 Velki soldiers enter the cargo hold. The soldiers moved in a tight group, their weapons pointing in every direction. They looked like they were entering a war zone, not a storage room full of medicine boxes. Bomi was nowhere to be seen. One of the soldiers made a hand signal. The group split into pairs, each pair taking a different path through the maze of crates. They communicated in whispers, checking every shadow, every corner. "Where is the creature?" one of them asked. "Keep looking. It must be hiding." But Bomi was not hiding. She had found something much more interesting than scared alien soldiers. She had found the air vents. The Starlight Dawn was an old ship. Its ventilation system ran through the walls and ceilings like a network of tunnels. The openings were just big enough for a cat to slip through. And Bomi had been exploring these tunnels since she was a kitten. The first soldier to encounter the phenomenon was named Voss. He was walking alone down a narrow corridor between tall stacks of boxes. His eyes scanned left and right. His weapon was ready. Then he saw her. The cat was sitting at the end of the corridor, just sitting there, watching him. Her green eyes glowed in the dim light. Voss raised his weapon. "Do not move, creature. I have you now." He blinked. The cat was gone. Voss felt his heart beat faster. He had not looked away for more than a moment. One heartbeat. And in that time, the creature had vanished completely. He spun around, checking behind him. The cat was sitting there, behind him, in a spot she could not possibly have reached. She licked her paw once, then walked away into the shadows. Voss stood frozen for a long moment. Then he raised his communicator with shaking hands. "The creature. It can teleport." Repeat, it can teleport. In a different part of the cargo hold, 2 soldiers named Drex and Mora heard scratching sounds coming from inside the wall. They pressed their ears against the metal. The scratching moved. It traveled along the wall, then up toward the ceiling. "It's in the walls," Mora said. "How did it get in the walls?" The scratching stopped directly above them. Both soldiers looked up. A small vent cover hung there. Through the gaps, 2 green eyes stared down at them. Drex fired his weapon at the vent. The energy blast left a smoking hole in the ceiling. Bits of metal rained down. Silence. Then, from somewhere far away, they heard it. A soft sound. Meow. The creature was behind them now. Somehow, impossibly, it had traveled the entire length of the cargo hold in seconds. Mura dropped his weapon and ran. Drex watched his partner flee, then turned back to face the creature. He was a veteran of 30 battles. He had faced enemies 10 times his size. He would not run from something so small. The cat walked toward him. Her steps were silent. Her eyes never left his face. She stopped just in front of him and sat down. Then she did something strange. She fell onto her side and rolled onto her back. Her belly was exposed, soft and fluffy. She looked at Drex and made a small chirping sound. Drex did not understand. Was this a trap? Was the creature trying to make him lower his guard? In Velki culture, showing your belly to an enemy was unthinkable. It was either a sign of complete surrender or a deadly trick. He took a step back. The cat rolled back onto her feet. She seemed almost disappointed. Then she walked away, her tail held high in the air. On the bridge, Commander Rin was receiving report after report. Each one was more disturbing than the last. The creature can teleport. The creature can walk through walls. The creature tried to hypnotize me with some kind of belly display. I saw it knock a box off a shelf while looking directly at me. It was a threat. A clear threat. This last report came from a soldier who had found the cat in the mess hall. Bomi had jumped onto a table, walked over to a cup, and pushed it off the edge. The cup had fallen to the floor with a crash. And Bomi had watched the soldier the entire time she did it. The soldier was convinced he had witnessed a threat display. A warning of what the creature would do to him if he came closer in the engine room. Hannah had tears running down her face from laughing. Tay had given up trying to stay quiet. He was sitting on the floor, shaking with silent laughter. She pushed a cup off a table. Mana gasped. She does that every day. That's just what cats do. They think it's a death threat, Tay managed to say. They think she's threatening to push them off a table. They watched as, one by one, the Valky soldiers gave up. They gathered near the stairs, refusing to go back into the lower levels. Their reports to Commander Rin became more and more desperate. Commander, the beast cannot be caught. It appears and disappears at will. Its eyes see through us. It knows what we are thinking. I recommend immediate retreat. This creature is beyond our ability to handle. Commander Rin's face had turned a strange shade of gray. He had sent 6 of his best warriors to capture a small, furry animal. All 6 had returned empty-handed, shaking with fear, telling stories of teleportation and mind control. He looked at Captain Yuna. The human woman stood quietly, her hands folded in front of her. She seemed perfectly calm. Your security officer, Rin said slowly, is very effective. She takes her job seriously. Yuna replied. At that moment, the door to the bridge slid open. Everyone turned to look. Bomi walked in. She moved with the confidence of a queen entering her throne room. Her orange fur was clean and bright. Her tail swayed gently behind her. She walked past the terrified Valky soldiers without giving them a single glance. She jumped onto the captain's chair. She turned around 3 times. She curled into a ball and began to purr. The rumbling sound filled the bridge. That death hum that had terrified Callan Bora in the cargo hold now echoed through the command center of the ship. Captain Yuna walked over to her chair. She sat down next to Bomi and began to scratch behind the cat's ears. Bomi purred louder. 12 Velky warriors watched in stunned silence. Their commander stood frozen. None of them could understand what they were seeing. The humans were not afraid. The humans touched the creature willingly. The humans and the creature lived together in peace. What kind of madness was this? Rin realized, for the first time since he became a raider, that he might have made a terrible mistake boarding this ship. Commander Rin stood very still. His soldiers had spread out around the edges of the bridge, pressing themselves against the walls. They were all watching the cat. The creature sat in the captain's chair, eyes half closed, making that terrible rumbling sound, and the human woman was touching it. petting it, as if it were not a deadly beast capable of teleportation and mind tricks. "I demand an explanation," Rin said. His voice was harder than he intended. "Fear did that to a person. What exactly is this creature?" Captain Yuna looked up at him. Her hand continued to move gently over Bomi's fur. "I told you. She is a cat. Her kind has lived with humans since the beginning of our civilization. That tells me nothing. Why do you keep such a dangerous creature on your ship? Why does it not kill you?" Yuna seemed to consider the question carefully. When she spoke, her voice was calm and steady. "Commander, you misunderstand the relationship. Cats did not choose to live with us. We did not tame them. Thousands of years ago, they appeared near our homes. They decided to stay. They allowed us to feed them and shelter them. In return, they protect us from threats." She paused. "You could say that cats domesticated humans, not the other way around." Rin felt a chill run through his body. "You serve them? We have an agreement. We give them food, warmth, and comfort. They give us their presence and their protection." Ooh, the young pilot spoke up from his station. He had been quiet this whole time, but now he saw a chance to help. "Cats are ancient hunters, Commander. On Earth, they have killed billions of creatures. Billions. No other species has such a record." This was true, in a way. Cats were responsible for the extinction of many small animals on Earth. They were efficient, deadly hunters. Wu simply did not mention that the victims were mostly mice, birds, and insects. Hana's voice came through the ship's speakers. She had connected from the engine room and was listening to everything. "Security Officer Bomi has over 40 confirmed kills this month alone. She is our most effective crew member." Rin looked at the small cat with new eyes. 40 kills in 1 month. That was more than most of his soldiers achieved in a year. "Why is it making that sound?" Cal asked from his spot near the wall. His voice was barely a whisper. "That humming. That death sound." Yuna smiled softly. "That is called purring. Cats do it when they are content. When they are happy." She stroked Bomi's head. "Or when they are preparing to hunt." This last part was a lie, but the Velki did not know that. Bora made a small whimpering sound. Commander Rin tried to gather his thoughts. He was a leader. He had commanded hundreds of raids. He could not let a small furry creature defeat him. He stepped forward, toward the captain's chair. "I do not fear this beast," he said. Though his voice shook slightly, he forced himself to move closer. "It is small. It is one creature against 12 warriors. We will take your ship, human. Your pet cannot stop us." Bomi opened her eyes. She looked directly at Rin. Her green eyes were bright and cold. The black lines in the center of her eyes grew thin as she focused on him. Rin stopped walking. The cat stood up slowly. She stretched her front legs, then her back legs. Her claws came out, digging into the fabric of the chair. Then she stepped down onto the armrest, then onto the control panel. Then she walked directly toward Commander Rin. Rin's soldiers raised their weapons. "Commander, should we fire?" "Hold," Rin said. He did not know why he said it. The word just came out. Some deep instinct told him that attacking this creature would be a terrible mistake. Bomi reached the edge of the control panel. She was close to Rin now, very close. She sat down and looked up at him. Then she did something unexpected. She lifted one paw and placed it on his arm. Her paw was soft, warm. The small pads pressed gently against his skin. Rin looked down at this tiny creature touching him. He had never been so confused in his life. Bomi chirped once. A small, almost friendly sound. Then she began to rub her head against his arm. "What is it doing?" Rin asked. His voice was high and strange. Yuna watched carefully. "She is marking you with her scent. It means she has claimed you as her property, Her property? Cats do not have owners, Commander. They have servants. She has decided you belong to her now. Rin wanted to pull away. Every warrior instinct in his body screamed at him to run. But he could not move. The creature had placed some kind of spell on him. He was certain of it. Bomi finished rubbing against his arm. Then she did the most terrifying thing yet. She stepped onto his arm, walked up toward his chest, and curled into a ball against his body. The purring grew louder. Yin stood completely still. He was holding a deadly beast. A creature that could teleport, that could appear from nowhere, that had terrorized 12 armed warriors. And it was pressing against his chest, vibrating with that terrible sound. Captain Yuna leaned forward. She spoke softly, almost whispering. She likes you. That is very rare. Most strangers do not survive their first meeting with her. But she has chosen to spare you. Rin felt sweat forming on his forehead. Spare me? If you leave now, if you take your soldiers and go, she might let you live. She might even let you leave human space forever. But if you stay, if you try to take our ship, she will not be so kind. The cat purred against Rin's chest. Her eyes were closed. She looked peaceful, innocent, but Rin could feel the power in her small body. He could feel the promise of death behind that soft fur. We are leaving, he said. Kel stepped forward. Commander, the ship, the cargo. We are leaving now. Rin's voice was sharp, final. All soldiers, return to our ship immediately. We are going home. Very carefully, very slowly, Rin lifted the cat from his chest. Bomi opened her eyes and looked at him. For one horrible moment, Rin thought she would attack. But she simply yawned, showing all of her teeth, and allowed him to set her down on the captain's chair. He backed away toward the airlock. His soldiers followed, moving quickly down at the door. Rin stopped. He looked at Captain Yuna one last time. Humans are more dangerous than we knew. You keep demons as pets. You call monsters your friends. He paused. We will not make this mistake again. The Velki left the Starlight Dawn. Their ship disconnected and powered up its engines. Within minutes, they had jumped to hyperspace and disappeared. On the bridge, Captain Yuna sat down in her chair. Bomi immediately climbed onto her lap and began purring again. Wu let out a long breath. Did that really just happen? Hannah and Tay came running onto the bridge. They had watched everything from the engine room cameras. Hannah was laughing so hard she could barely stand. You told them cats domesticated humans, she gasped. And they believed you. Yuna smiled and stroked Bomi's fur. I did not lie. I just told them the truth in a creative way. Tay looked at the cat with new respect. 40 confirmed kills this month. You counted the mice, didn't you? And 3 spiders, Hannah added. She got 3 spiders. Bomi purred contentedly, unaware that she had just saved the entire ship from capture. In her mind, this had been a normal day. Some new creatures had come to visit. She had explored the vents. She had pushed a cup off a table. She'd found a warm lap to sleep on. Just another day for a cat. But somewhere in hyperspace, Commander Rin was already composing his report. His words would change the galaxy forever. The celebration on the Starlight Dawn lasted for 3 days. Captain Yuna opened the special food stores. Tay cooked real meals instead of the usual ship rations. Hannah played music through the ship speakers. Wu danced badly but with great enthusiasm. And Bomi received more treats than any cat had ever received in the history of space travel. I still cannot believe it worked, Wu said on the second night. He was sitting in the mess hall, eating his 4th helping of noodles. They had weapons. They had soldiers. And they ran away because of a cat. Not just any cat, Hannah corrected. She held up her cup in a toast. Security Officer Bomi, Defender of the Starlight Dawn, terror of the Velki Empire. Bomi was sitting on the table, licking her paw. She had no idea why the humans kept giving her treats, but she was not complaining. Tay leaned back in his chair. You know what the funny part is? Everything we told them was technically true. Cats did come to humans thousands of years ago. Cats have killed billions of creatures. Bomi does have 40 kills this month. The truth is the best weapon, Yuna said. She was smiling, relaxed for the first time since the Velki had appeared. We just let them interpret it in their own way. The ship continued its journey toward the outer colonies. The cargo was delivered on time. The crew received their payment. Life returned to normal, but the story did not end there. Far across the galaxy, on the Velki homeworld, Commander Rin stood before the High Council. The council chamber was vast, filled with the most powerful leaders of the Velki Empire. They sat in a half-circle of tall chairs, looking down at Rin with cold eyes. You returned empty-handed, the first speaker said. His voice echoed through the chamber. You had a cargo ship, unarmed, small crew, and you fled. Rin kept his back straight. Yes, first speaker. Explain. Rin had prepared for this moment. He took a deep breath and began his report. He told them about the boarding. He told them about the creature called a cat. He described its glowing eyes, its retractable claws, its ability to appear and disappear at will. He told them about the death hum that vibrated from its body. He told them how it had touched him, claimed him as property, and then released him as a message to all Velki. The council listened in silence. When Rin finished, the first speaker leaned forward. You are saying that a small furry animal defeated 12 of our warriors? I am saying that humans have formed an alliance with a predator species beyond our understanding. These creatures, called cats, have been with them for thousands of years. The humans serve them willingly. They feed them, house them, and in return, the cats protect human ships. Another council member spoke up. This seems impossible. Our records show nothing about such creatures. Then let us search their communication networks, Rin said. The humans call it the internet. If these cats exist, we will find evidence. The council agreed. Teams of Velki researchers began scanning human digital records. What they found shocked them. Images. Millions of images. Cats sitting on furniture. Cats sleeping in strange positions. Cats staring at walls. Cats knocking objects off tables. Cats sitting in boxes too small for their bodies. Videos. Thousands of videos. Cats attacking feet. Cats running at incredible speeds. Cats jumping to impossible heights. Cats disappearing into shadows. And everywhere, in every image and every video, those same cold, calculating eyes. The researchers also found something disturbing. Humans had built entire structures for cats to climb. Humans bought special food, special toys, special beds for cats. Humans spent hours each day serving these creatures. The human female spoke the truth. One researcher reported to the council. The cats have indeed domesticated the humans. They are the true masters of human civilization. The council debated for 7 days. Some members wanted to ignore the threat. Cats were small, they argued. They could not possibly stop a full Velki invasion. But Rin spoke against this. I stood before that creature. I felt its presence. I am telling you, as a warrior of 40 years, that thing is not to be underestimated. It looked at me like I was prey, like I was nothing. And the humans, the fearsome humans who have conquered planets and survived impossible wars, they bow to these creatures willingly. In the end, the council made their decision. It was announced across the entire Velki Empire. All human vessels are now classified as protected. Any ship carrying a cat is to be avoided at all costs. Earth itself is now designated as a Class 7 predator sanctuary. No Velki citizen shall approach human space without direct permission from the High Council. The decree spread quickly. Within months, every spacefaring species in the region had heard the story. The Velki, one of the most feared raider species in the galaxy, had been defeated by a single small creature. A creature that purred. Some species laughed at the Velki. Some thought it was a joke. But many others looked at humans with new respect and new fear. What kind of species could form an alliance with such monsters? What kind of species could live beside creatures that showed no fear, no mercy, and no respect for anything? Humans, apparently. On Earth and on human ships across the galaxy, a strange trend began. Pet shelters reported record adoption numbers. Space captains who had never owned animals before suddenly wanted cats. Every ship, from small cargo vessels to massive cruisers, began registering cats as official crew members. The joke about security officers became standard practice. It was no longer funny. It was smart. 6 months after the incident, Captain Yuna received a message from the Human Space Command. They wanted to give Bomi a medal. A real medal, made of gold, for exceptional service in defending a human vessel. The ceremony was small. Just the crew of the Starlight Dawn and a few officers from the command. They hung the tiny medal around Bomi's neck. Bomi immediately tried to eat it. They took the medal back and put it in a display case on the bridge instead. She doesn't care about medals, Hana said, watching Bomi chase a dust particle across the floor. She doesn't even know she's famous. Yuna nodded. That's what makes her perfect. She's not trying to be anything. She's just being a cat. And somehow, that's the scariest thing in the galaxy. Tay was updating the ship's log. He typed slowly, choosing his words carefully. Security Officer Bomi continues to serve with distinction. Her presence alone ensures the safety of the Starlight Dawn. All hostile forces are advised to reconsider their life choices before engaging. Wu laughed. You think any Velki will ever try to raid a human ship again? Not if they're smart, Yuna said. Outside the window, the stars stretched into infinity. Somewhere out there, the Velki were telling stories about the demon beast that had humiliated their warriors. Other species were listening, learning, beginning to understand that humans were not just dangerous because of their weapons or their ships. Humans were dangerous because they had cats. And cats, as every human knew, were forces of nature that could not be controlled, could not be predicted, and could not be defeated. On the bridge of the Starlight Dawn, Bomi found a patch of sunlight coming through the window. She turned around 3 times, lay down, and closed her eyes. Within seconds, she was asleep. She dreamed of chasing a small red dot across an endless field. She dreamed of pushing cups off tables. She dreamed of warm laps and soft blankets and treats that never ran out. She did not dream of the aliens she had terrified, or the empire she had humiliated, or the legend that was growing around her name. She was just a cat, and that was more than enough.